Okay, everybody, we're back with a brand new Cabral HouseCall. Best way to start our weekend here is a global health community, answering all of our community's questions, all things wellness, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging, high performance health. All right, so let's get right into it. Our job, my job, is to be able to read the questions that come in each and every week from the community. We're typically just about maybe 4 to 6 weeks in the queue with your questions. These came in just the beginning of November. And of course, we just answer them in the order they've come in. So as I said, without further ado, let's get to those questions now. First question is from Steven. Steven says, "Hi, Dr. Brawl. I wanted to get your thoughts on a supplement called Protandim, a product marketed to reduce oxidative stress by activating NRF2, supporting cellular repair, and promoting detoxification and gene regulation. The company claims it's backed by dozens of peer-reviewed studies, but most of the research has been done in animals or cell cultures, and a few human studies show mixed results. Online opinions seem polarized. Some call it a marketing gimmick, while others swear by it. So it's been difficult to find balanced, evidence-based perspective. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the assessment, whether you've had any experience with it in your practice, what results, if any, you've observed, and whether you consider it a science-supported supplement worth considering." All right. So I definitely have opinions on this product, and that is because the ingredients, I believe there's 6 ingredients. I know that there's EGCG from green tea, there's turmeric, there's bacopa, which is great for the brain, great for circulation, used in Ayurveda. There's ashwagandha, there's milk thistle. I think I pretty much covered all of them that are in there. Maybe there's one more. What I'll tell you is this. None of them are specific patented, like branded ingredients, which is totally fine. Again, you don't need those. And the other is, I remember looking into this, and it was around like 650 to 700 milligrams of a proprietary blend of those. So here's what I want to share with you. Again, just based on the science, and I'm not throwing any shade on any other company because these are all great ingredients. So all great ingredients, but with 600 milligrams, you're not getting a lot of a dosage. So I'm all for all of those ingredients, no doubt about it. But clinically, like as a practitioner, I can't use this in my practice because I need 400 to 600 milligrams just from ashwagandha to get the clinical effect of lowering cortisol by 33% at night. That's why we use a product called Adrenal Soothe, right? It has clinical dosage of ashwagandha, clinical dosage of L-theanine, clinical dosage of phosphoserine, and much more. So again, like I have to go by the clinical dosage that has been proven in science to work because my clients and all of our customers around the world expect that that's what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to disappoint them. So again, if you want all these ingredients, for the most part, you're going to need a couple hundred milligrams to at least 600 milligrams of many of them. That means you would need to take 2 to 3 of these per day, not one caplet, again, in my opinion. So that means that, yes, it's a good product, but you need to then use 3 times the dosage. And is it worth a couple $100? In my opinion, no, because then you could just use other individual products like Inflammasoothe, and you could use Adrenal Soothe, and you could use Daily Brain Support for like half the cost, and you would get the clinical dosage of all those. So I like that they're trying to put everything in one. I like that. But to get the clinical dosage, I think you need to use 2 to 3 of them a day, 2 to 3 capsules a day. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. And that's why we just don't use it in our practice, but not saying that the ingredients aren't good ingredients. They are. All right, Sarah's up next. "Hey, Doc, I've been rebounding, doing the vibration plate, dry brushing consistently for over 2 years now. I also sauna once every week or so. When I'm rebounding, I notice that I get a pain in my left collarbone. I always massage the area before and after. I thought after rebounding for this long, the pain might go away. It's not so painful, but it's uncomfortable, and I'm wondering if this is anything to be concerned about. My partner really tried rebounding, and he said he felt pain also. We've done a bunch of detoxes, CBO, mold, etc., but both walk a lot and exercise and generally feel pretty healthy." That's really interesting because I know what you're talking about, meaning I think you're referring to that as you're moving lymph through your body, eventually a lot of it circulates up to this greater trochanter-based area in the left collarbone, the left shoulder area, where it's going to start to drain. And so I understand that that's what you're saying. I'm just wondering, though, if there might be a biomechanical based issue, meaning like you're jumping up and down, you're rebounding, your shoulders are going up and down. Is there an AC joint issue? Because I always try to use Occam's razor. What is the simplest explanation? This person's done rebounding, dry brushing for a couple of years now. They've done their detoxes. They've done that. Do I really think that there's a backup in the lymphatic system? I don't know. That wouldn't be my first go-to. My first go-to is that there's literally a very common rotator cuff based issue, which actually is something called the AC joint. And it's where your collarbone connects to, it's not exactly at the glenohumeral joint of your shoulder joint here. Again, you're probably not watching me on video, but I just want to share with you, it could be a rotator cuff AC joint issue and not a lymphatic issue. And I would actually look up rotator cuff AC joint inflammation and press in on the area and see if, this might actually be an AC joint issue that you can repair with rehabilitation, working with a good chiro, a good personal trainer, etc. All right. So Sarah, hopefully that's helpful. And then right back in if it ends up not being that. Brian's up next. Brian says, hey, Dr. C, I was wondering if you had any thoughts on Kratom. I've heard you discuss nicotine, cannabis, and various other psychedelics on your podcast and their potential medical benefits, but never heard you mention Kratom. Do you have any opinions on this plant? More harm than good. Just curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks. Okay. Yeah. So actually someone wrote in many, many years ago on the Cabral concept about Kratom or Kratom, but most people say Kratom. And although it does come from a plant, this is something that I just tried once myself. I like to just have a little knowledge base of it and then read a lot of the different clinical based research on it. And it is not one that I recommend. So you've heard me recommend CBD in many cases. You've heard me recommend THC in some cases, psilocybin in other cases, but you won't hear me recommend Kratom too often. So this is something, if you are going to use it, I would actually use it for a very specific reason. At low dosages, it can have a stimulant-based effect, but most people use it at high dosages for the opioid-like effect. So if you are someone that needs that effect for a specific reason, I would actually consider this then more of a medical-based case, and then this is a medical-based usage. Not more of a plant-based usage, but more of a medical-based usage. A lot of people in our community who had tried it got headaches, lightheadedness, and other side effects, and the side effects are quite pronounced with Kratom, and that's one of the reasons why I don't recommend it, especially recreationally. I don't think too many people are going to get a whole lot of negative side effects from CBD. Some might get a little bit from THC, but again, that's why I'm not recommending that just off the cuff to anybody. So that's my answer for right now. And that is why you won't hear me make those recommendations. But I think there's a time and place for everything. And for certain individuals with pain-based issues, this might be something they work with a practitioner on. Now, let me give you my disclaimer. Can't provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, and medical diagnosis. All right. Anthony's up next. Anthony says, hi, Dr. Paul. Thank you for all you do. Our 12-year-old son seems to have red bags under his eyes more often than we think he should. He also has a small patch of warts on his upper forehead, a slightly bigger wart on the top of his foot, and a small patch of bumps on his left forearm near his elbow. We had his blood work done and taken, and it came back with no issues. We also have food sensitivity done with an IgE allergy, which is high for cashews and flaxseed and green pea and lima and navy bean, and his IgG sensitivity high to turkey and many other moderate foods on both the allergy and sensitivity sides. What would your input be? Thank you, Anthony. Okay, Anthony, happy to help with this. Oftentimes when you see, instead of the purple under eye, which could be allergies, it could be airway blockage, it could be histamine issues, etc. The red is often signified as more specifically allergies and histamine based, and they sometimes refer to those as allergic shiners, and I'm putting that in air quotes. So this could be environmental, it could be food-based, it could be both, it could be irritants. Whenever I start to see warts and multiple showing up, I do usually think that this immune system is under a bit of stress. Oftentimes low vitamin C, and low zinc, and maybe even low vitamin D3. The best way to look at these is for a child, specifically a 12-year-old, like I have a 11 and 13-year-old, they keep getting older, it's unbelievable, is to run the starter kit, or it's called the Vitamin Tox Test at StephenCabral.com/shop. Just takes you over to Equilife, and you'll be able to find that. That's our minerals and metals test, and it will look at zinc and copper balance, and it will look at your electrolyte stress for your son. And then the kidney to metabolic and vitamins test, which is part of that, will look at gut-based function. It will look at certain vitamin levels. And if you wanted to add on a vitamin D3 test, you could do that. All of those, again, are at StephenCabral.com/shop. If you said, I don't want to do any testing, okay, we will use, again, I can't give any specific medical plans, but 2 of the daily activated multi, one with breakfast, one with dinner, some omega-3 fish oil, Could just do a third of a teaspoon for a 12-year-old. You could do 1 to 2 drops, well, probably just 1 drop for vitamin D3. That would be 1,000 IUs. That's on the lower end, but you could start there. And what else could I recommend? And then zinc. Just probably 10 to 15 milligrams of zinc might be a nice place to start to boost that immune system. If there are gut issues, you'll find that on lab testing, and you can begin to do more than just the food sensitivity. All right. So, Anthony, I appreciate you writing in. Hopefully that's a good place for you to get started. One more question today. It's from Anonymous. Anonymous says, "Hi, Dr. Paul. I truly resonate with your philosophy of addressing the root cause rather than masking the symptoms." Happy to hear that, Anonymous. "I've listened to all your podcasts and read your book and really appreciate your holistic approach. I'm an IHP level 2. My question is about blood sugar imbalances. Most natural health books I've read on this topic tend to focus on symptom management through low-carb diets. Do you have a book you'd recommend that explores how to restore cell membrane function and rebalance this dynamic at a deeper level? Thank you for all your time and the work that you do." All right. Happy to help answer this. So here's the thing. Starting off with a low-carb diet is not a bad idea. It's what we do as well if there are blood sugar imbalances. So what we need to do is we go lower carb, right? We'll start with our 21-day detox, and then we will reintroduce low glycemic berries to start. And we typically do that at breakfast. We'll make sure that someone's getting in at least 35 grams of fiber, oftentimes using the Ecolife mold-free organic psyllium husk. And we're doing that at breakfast, and we're doing it at dinner. So in the shake and then at dinner. And we're making sure that we do rebalance those cell membranes. But remember, that's going to take 12 to 16 weeks. So as you're gradually and gently adding back in healthier fats like the omega-3s, and you're gradually adding in the carbohydrates, that's how we rebalance over time. So is there one book on this? I'm not sure. What I do is I don't go by books per se anymore, but I obviously recommend reading books, of course. I look at the teachings in bioregulatory medicine. They talk about this in Ayurvedic medicine. And then, of course, all the research that we have on PubMed into cell membrane dynamics. I will be talking about this far more in my new book that is coming out, which is really getting into the root cause of all disease. So it's a really root cause-based book. And that comes out, let's see, is it out as of this recording? If not, it'll be pretty soon. No, it comes out next week. All right, well, there we go. Book launch next week, and I'll be talking a lot more about that. So again, there's a balance. We can't just say we can eat lots of carbs if we have cell membranes dysfunction. That's not true until we rebalance those cell membranes, which we need proper amounts of B vitamins, methylated B vitamins, proper amounts of omega-3s, and then the cell membrane dynamics, which is going to be based on sodium, potassium, a little bit of magnesium in there as well, and then proper levels, of course, of zinc, copper. So all of that is helpful. All of that, again, I will outline in my upcoming book. And of course, I'm always happy to talk more in depth on blood sugar. If we do a specific show on that, I'm sure that we can. All right, Anonymous, thank you for writing in. Appreciate everybody tuning into today's show. And I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode, 5 to 6 more questions from the community. Take care, everybody.